Hi creative friends, this is Sreya and thank you for being here. This is part 3 of incorporating oil pastels into my first and middle layers. Now, I debated whether I should have posted part 2 of this series because honestly, I wasn't feeling my best that day. I was really low energy and struggling to be in beginner's mind. But then I decided to post it because I think it's important to illustrate that sometimes creating is a struggle, but I showed up anyways, and now I'm really loving this spread. Now, I have to just say that sometimes when I'm not feeling my best, I just need a hot cup of tea and a nap. But at other times, I need to come into my art studio and I need to start working. So it's just knowing myself and finding that balance. So let's just dive right in. There's so much about this page that I'm really interested in, that I'm really drawn to, and I am loving. But it needs a lot of stuff. What do I mean by stuff? Well, the first thing is I think I need to just bring some Stabilo pencils in here and really kind of grunge it up a little bit, like make some marks and just kind of bring in some lines, and I might even use my non-dominant hand in a minute. The other thing is it needs some neutrals for sure. I love all these bright, beautiful colors here, but it definitely does need to be grayed down a bit here. And the other thing is, because I did use oil pastels, I'm just going to check to see if they are going to move. So, you know, they're quite stable. With this blue over here, I am getting a little bit on my finger, but nothing extraordinary. See, I am getting a little bit of blue on there, but other than that, it's, you know, it's totally fine and I'm happy with it. So now I'm going to just kind of make some kind of marks and lines, get my blue Stabilo out. And I'm going to start adding my figures. So what I do when I add my figures is I start to like really look at the shapes and see where I want to put, say, a face, a body, a neck. And that's what I'm really looking at. Like this over here, I think I can make into a sun. So I'm just gonna do that. And over here, I think I'm gonna go like that. And I'm really loving this part for the neck. So, and this might be like a very abstract kind of figure. I'm not sure yet. Let me see here. Okay, so I'm not gonna bother, let me see. Okay, I think I'm gonna do the hair part here. I'm gonna do the hair because, okay, there we go. So I have my figure on this page, and now I need to kind of move over here and find where I want to place my figure on this page. Now, part of me wants to put 2 figures on this page, but then another part of me is saying that's going to be kind of cramped up, so I don't really know for right now. So I'm just going to start off with 1 figure, and I think I'm going to place it like right here. And I want it to be kind of a similar size, the face. I want the figures, like I don't want one figure to be a certain size and then the other figure to be really small or really large, comparatively to this one. So I'm just gonna kind of try to keep it to be a similar size. And I know it looks like super messy right now, but once I add some neutrals and and do the background, it's going to really make the figures more prominent. And I think I want the figure to go like cross over into this page right here. And now I'm gonna kind of work on the hair a little bit. And this is just like a sketch. I mean, things could change drastically once I get to making my layers. But like I've mentioned before, when you cover something up, you know, you can't retrieve it. But if you save it, you can always cover it up later. So I like to err on the side of caution and, you know, not cover up stuff that I may need. So I'm liking those two figures, but then I'm not happy with this empty space over here. So I think I am going to add another figure over here on this side. Now it is going to be a bit cramped, but it's okay. I'm just going to work with what I have. And maybe part of the figure is going to go off the page, which makes for like an interesting composition, because when you put part of the figure off the page and you can only see a fraction of it, it adds a sense of curiosity, because when I'm looking at this page, like I want to know, like, what am I not seeing? Like, what is off the page? So it's a really a cool way to add some, like to make a really dynamic page, is to add, you know, a figure or an object that you can only see part of. And so I think I'm pleased with this situation right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in ink and cashew, and I'm going to make a gray. Now, there's so much about this page that I do not want to cover up. Like, I'm just loving like all of this, and you know, but I have to cover it up because obviously I can't leave it, because there would be too much going on, and then the figures wouldn't stand out. So I'm just gonna mix a gray here. And I want it to be a cool gray. Like, I don't want it to be a warmer toned gray, because there's so much hot stuff going on. All these colors are hot. So I need to really make the colors that you can see, I need to make those really stand out. And if I have a warm gray, it's not going to have as much impact, I guess. The hot colors are not going to really like, you know, just pop off the page. But I really don't want to cover up. Like, there's so much of this that I love. I really don't want to cover it up, but I have to. So here goes. Ugh, I hate covering up stuff that I love, but sometimes you just have to do it. And I'm going to try to keep like a little bit of it if I can, just for interest. And then if it's not working later, I can cover it up. And I think I'm going to add 2 coats of this. So I will add a coat of the chalk paint and then allow it to completely dry, and then maybe go in with another coat later. And if you remember, this over here is oil pastel, and then I put a wash over top of it. And so now can you see how just by me adding this gray, I have made the figure stand out? And I'm still on my, like, this is my 3rd layer, I believe. So, I mean, I've still got a ways to go, but And now I'm going to do this page over here. And so I mentioned in my last video that when I use oil pastels in my first and middle layers, I need to, I need to work in shorter periods of time. But now that I have passed that stage, like the oil pastels are not moving. They are not moving at all. So I am going to be able to work as I normally do and not stop, as frequently. And to me, it's worth it. Like the trade-off of me having to work in shorter periods of time is totally worth the results I get with the oil pastels. So it's not a big deal to me. And here we go over here. So now you can see how the figures are like popping more. They're much more prominent now. And again, I really don't want to cover up this part, but I have to, unfortunately. So okay, now I'm going to get my viewfinder out, and I can't put it directly on the page because this is all wet, but I'm just trying to see here what I can keep and what I need to cover up. So I think I'm going to keep all the interest in the neck, and maybe, perhaps, I don't know. I really want to keep like a big part of this here, but I feel like if I keep the pattern in the neck and the face and the body, it's going to be too much. Like it's just going to compete with each other. So I don't know. And when I don't know what to do in a spread, I kind of ask myself the question. So I actually talk to myself and I say, what should I do? Should I keep the neck or should I keep the body? Should I keep both? What should I do? And then I just move on to another part of the painting that I do know what I want to do. And that way, like my mind is kind of trying to resolve the problem while I'm working. And that's what I do. So you just have to find out what works for you. But I find that if I stop painting and I just obsess about, what should I do? Should I keep this? And, I really don't know. And I stress out about it. It's really not going to get me anywhere. I generally don't resolve things by focusing on them and stressing out about it. I resolve things by asking myself the question out loud and then continuing to work, and then just kind of trusting that it is going to, I am going to resolve it. So I am going to cover up part of the face. Now there's parts that I really love. Like I really love that kind of blue and gold for the face. Now I just want to mention, like when I started talking about oil pastels and using them in my first layers and my middle layers, and part of the whole controversy, I guess, or the reason why people have said, well, don't put oil pastels as your first layer and add media over top of it, is because it is going to resist media. But sometimes I want that, like I want that to show through, so I want it to be resisted. Like I don't want to cover it up. So I can use oil pastels to my advantage because I'm really loving that kind of arc of the face, the blue and the gold with the oil pastels. So I hope I'm making sense here. And, as always, I really welcome your questions, comments, and concerns. I love the conversation, and I really appreciate all of you taking the time to ask me stuff, or, you know, just share your experiences, etc. So I'm just gonna cover that up. I'm probably gonna have to wait until it dries and then add another coat of the ink and chalk paint. So what I'm doing is I am using my Liquitex ink in transparent burnt sienna, and I'm mixing it with my Waverly chalk paint in cashew. And now again, I want to keep this part over here. I just want to cover this part up. So I'm going to add the ink on there. And I'm going to get some of this cashew. And so this is a first layer on the face, and I am probably gonna have to go back and, you know, add more layers, which I'm totally fine with. And I actually might even add some of my oil sticks. I'm not sure yet. So now what I'm feeling is I think I want to add a red over here for the dress part, but I want to keep this arc, this, you know, I want to keep some of it, but I want to cover some of it with red. So what I am going to do is I think I am, and I'm sorry if you can hear that plane overhead. Normally it is very quiet where I live, but sometimes, you know, get these planes and stuff going by. So I'm sorry if the if the camera is picking up on that. I'm looking for a, I don't want to use an alizarin crimson. I think I want to use like a cad red light. Like, I want like an orangey red, like a vermilion. So and I'm gonna have to come back and, you know, add probably a few layers. Oh, look at that. Ooh, that is just beautiful. So this is transparent, so you can still see what's underneath, but it's really kind of pushed it back. So I'm really loving that, actually. And now I don't know if I'm gonna, this is, I don't know. I'm just trying to see here. I think I'm gonna have to cover up this yellow over here because I want to keep this part of the neck. And I'm thinking that if I don't cover up the yellow, it's gonna be too much. Like, it's gonna be distracting from the neck. So I have to kind of like push it down a bit, like push it into the background. So I don't know. I think, okay, I'm just gonna leave that alone for right now. And now over here, I think I am going to use, what color? I think I might use a yellow to kind of like, and I want an opaque yellow. I don't want a transparent yellow because this is still a bit too busy for me. I need to push some stuff back. That's what I'm thinking. So I think I'm going to get, and I might have to put like 2 or 3 coats of it, like wait for each coat to dry. But I think I'm just gonna get like a, let me see here, just a yellow. And that's not a bright yellow. It's a bit neutralized. So And it's transparent right now, so I really need to kind of, like, I need to make it opaque. I want to make it opaque. Because the thing is, if there's too much stuff going on on the spread, then nothing, it's just very disjointed, it's chaotic, and nothing is going to stand out because there's just too much going on. So, you know, you want the main stars of the show, but you also want the supporting colors and parts of the page as well, because every part of the page can't be the star of the show, because if everybody's a star of the show, then nobody's a star of the show. And that's the way, like, I can explain it the best, I guess. It's not a very technical way of explaining it, but it's the way I understand it. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'm still thinking that this needs to be subdued. So unfortunately, I don't think I can keep all this transparency here. I'm gonna need to come in with an opaque color and maybe put quite a few quotes. I'm sorry, not quotes, coats. I'm so sorry. I need to put a few coats of the paint here. And ooh, that is a beautiful red, but it's also still transparent. So I might have to kind of wait for it to dry. So I'm really loving this stuff going on here and this over here. I'm loving the neck part, but I think I need to put another coat of the gray in the background, and then I am going to allow it to completely dry and then come back to it. So let me see here. I'm not sure if that background has completely dried, so I might need to allow it to completely dry. But for right now, I feel like I have unified the page. I've done a lot of stuff that I really am, you know, interested in carrying forward into my subsequent layers. And I think I might add some oil sticks when I come back to this, but I'm not sure. So this is part 3. This is the end of part 3, and of me incorporating oil pastels into my first layers. I haven't added any oil pastels into this middle layer, but like, I've allowed the first layers of my oil pastels to show through, like over here, over here, over here, you know, over here. So we'll see what I keep and what gets covered up. But if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.